Woohoo, we are live. And this is the quadratic formula looking all fancy. You can always tell a professional math teacher because they know how to make the fancy exterior box here. Woohoo. So here's the thing. The quadratic formula is incredibly useful. A couple things are very important. One thing is you have to have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. You need to have a 0 there. It has to equal 0. If it doesn't, you have to fix it. Then you're allowed to take each of those numbers, the number in front of x squared, the coefficient, even if I were a math teacher, b, the coefficient of x, and the constant coefficient. So the three numbers get chucked into this. You squish it around with maybe some cream, a little salt and pepper, and you've got a lovely quadratic formula for 5 or 6. Possibly even a whole dozen people can eat off of one quadratic formula. So, shall we start using it? Yes, let's start using it. Awesome. So here we go. Here's our first example. Now, this first example fits. Oh, I got so excited I pushed it up too fast. It fits the formula. I've got ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And it also fits that I don't feel like factoring or completing the square right now. Do I feel like it? No. See, there you go. It's very simple. If you don't feel like using another method, let's solve this using the quadratic formula. So a is going to be 2. B, in this case, is going to be 6. And C is going to be 3. So then we know that x equals the opposite of b plus or minus radical b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, this is why you want to learn a song for this, because a lot of people find that singing a song makes this easier to remember, because otherwise it's just totally from hell. I mean, Pinhead could not have come up with something more evil than this, right? You open up that box and this is your reward. And most people, honestly, if it were a choice between the quadratic formula and having your skin flayed, they'd probably go with the skin flaying, let's be honest. Okay, so, but back to this. B is 6, so I'm going to take the opposite of that. That's negative 6, plus or minus radical b squared, whatever b is, gets squared. Now, be careful. Be careful. There we go. If b is negative, it still gets squared. So this first part will always be positive. Minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is 3, all over 2 times a, which is 2. So that's the first step. Negative 6 plus or minus 6 squared is 36. 4 times 2 is 8 times 3 is 24. 2 times 2 is 4. So far, so good. Woohoo. Now, again, if you are taking Algebra 2, which is this video is for Algebra 2, I'm assuming you have played with this before. I'm assuming that you've practiced with it and possibly even already have it memorized. So I'm hoping that you already are anticipating some of these steps. For example, 36 minus 24 is 12. So we're going to have to simplify that radical. Remember how to simplify the radical? Let me get my bear. Here's my bear. Sorry. We're going to use bear math, which is how I do it. So radical 12 is actually equal to 3 times 4, which is 2 times 2. So it's 3 times 2 times 2. Right? And so the 2 2's, because it's a square root, we got our square bear. So our 2 2's go running. And then the bear comes and eats them. Yum, 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 yum. Honestly, if you don't watch all my videos, you're going to be very confused. But only 1 2 makes it out. The 3 doesn't have a friend to run with, so 3 stays in. So we got 2 radical 3. That's important. So we can continue here. You have to be able to simplify all of your radicals to put them in simplest radical form. So far, so good. So this bad boy right here is actually equal to this. We go over here, and then we come back. Okay. So next up, I'm not sure that's visible. Ooh, look at this. This is how you know I'm a professional teacher. Look at that highlighting. Wow. Wow, right? It's a thing of beauty. Okay, now, next up is we've got two terms up here. That means we got to be very careful with our factoring. I know, a lot of people just want to go 6 and 4, 6 and 4. Don't do it. You're too smart for that. Don't fall for it. I know the 6 and the 4 are like winking at you. Step back, take a moment, take a breath, enjoy the moment, or fear the moment, however you want to be in this moment. But know that if there are two terms, you are not allowed, you are absolutely not allowed to I just gave it away, to cancel without factoring, or else, that's right, the bears will come. This isn't just a square root bear. This is also the bear that eats you. If you factor, let's try it again. It's the bear that eats you. I'm sure I'm going to fix all this in post because I totally know how to do post production. Not. This is totally the bear that comes and eats you if you try to cancel without factoring. Rawr! See, that's no good. And you know who else will be sad? Let's be honest. Matt Damon will be disappointed in you. So just look at him. So disappointed in you if you're going to cancel without factoring. So let's go ahead and factor. Are there any common factors? Why, yes, there's a 2. I can factor a 2 out. Now, 2 out of -6 is -3. 2 out of 2 radical 3. If the 2 is gone, just got the radical 3 all over 4. Now, the 2 and the 4 can cancel. They're not going to cancel perfectly. I know, it's frustrating. 2 into 4 gives you 2. 2 into 2 gives you 1. But it is the cross we will bear. -3 plus or minus radical 3 all over 2. Now, different books have different requirements. That is a perfectly fine answer as far as I'm concerned. But some people want you to write -3 plus radical 3 over 2, or -3 minus radical 3 over 2. And if that's the case, then do it. Make them happy. Seriously, you did all that work. Don't skimp at the end. Then there are other people. And I have feelings about these other people, but what can I do? As soon as I am king, these people will not annoy you anymore. But some people actually want you to split up the two terms that are kind of inherent, the -3 and the radical 3, into separate denominators. I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm just saying it's evil. And I wouldn't do it, but someone might. So I want you to be prepared for that. Woohoo! Awesome. You want to try another one? I swear all I can hear is yes. Yes, please give us another one. Okay. I am totally all about giving you, my math students, what they want. Woohoo! There we go. Now, if you've been with me for a while, you know that the simpler the problem looks, the more you should be very, very afraid. Okay, but we'll just go on. So for this one, we've got some options. You can try factoring this. You can try completing the square. But since we're in 8.2, we're going to go ahead with the quadratic formula. Okay, so first thing for the quadratic formula, or the quad formula as its friends know it, you must have a 0. I'm going to do a really fancy exclamation point here so everyone knows. Oh, it helps if I put it on the camera. See, wow, look at that. I paid extra for these graphics. Okay, so I've got x squared equals the opposite of x minus 5. And I'm going to try to get a 0. Can't just put a 0 in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move everyone on to the left. You can do this in one step. You don't have to take 2 steps. You know me, I'm just a slowpoke. So I got it all. Oh, what happened? Oh my gosh. What's still there? Equals 0. That's the problem with stopping in the middle of math to talk. It's just like, what just happened? Where am I? Who am I? What's going on? Okay, so I've got my equals 0. I've got it in descending order. You see how everything, every single lesson this year has been set up to prepare you for this moment. You guys are so ready for this. A equals 1. B equals 1. C equals 5. I would be very scared if I were you. These numbers seem too easy. X equals the opposite of b plus or minus radical b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Negative 1 plus or minus radical 1 squared minus 4 times 1 times 5 all over 2 times 1. Okay. Doesn't seem too deathy right now. Seems pretty okay. Then we get negative 1 plus or minus radical 1 minus 20, not panicking, all over 2. Do not panic. I hear some of you, you are panicking. Don't panic. Don't panic. It's just math. You can walk away. You could set fire to this piece of paper. I mean, you can't set fire to this one because it would be hard to reach through YouTube to set fire, or else we'd have some real problems. That would be really awkward. Make a YouTube video and suddenly anyone could set fire to your house. That would be awkward. Let's not aim for that technology. But seriously, you can step away from math anytime and it'll just wait for you. Math is that kind of a friend. I mean, it's a hard kind of love, but it is your friend. It will be there. So if you need to, step away. But what I'm going to say is just calm, pet your inner lizard. Say it's okay. As soon as we finish this, we'll go find a hot rock to sit on and maybe some nice bugs. Don't worry about it. Okay, so 1 minus 20, don't panic, it's negative 19. I know, 19 is an evil number and it should not exist. I agree, but it does. I'm going to remind you, this is what x is. Remember, that was way up there, but I thought maybe we forgot x equals this. Okay, we're almost there. What happens when we take a square root of negative 19? Well, couple things. One is, if the problem specifically said you had to be looking for real numbers, then you lucky duck, you're done, because this is not a real number. This is going to involve imaginary numbers. So if it has to be real, you're done. You say no solution. But if it can be anything, which is our case because we've studied imaginary numbers, so now complex numbers are allowed, we're going to go ahead and say, okay, square root of a negative or radical negative, that doesn't faze me. That's just radical 19. And then what did Oedipus do? You're right. Put your eyes out. There you go. Your eye comes out. Bam. Just like Oedipus. Yeah, the Greeks didn't come up with the eye, though. I mean, they may have had an idea of it, but really it was solidified much later. So Oedipus wouldn't have known anything about this, but just go with it. It's not easy being a math teacher. We have to come up with these clever things to say, and it's math. Oh my gosh, it's math. Who can say anything clever about math? The thing to remember is that both the terms up top are divided by 2. So when we split it in half, they each are over 2. A lot of times, because we've brought an I into it, we need to write this in A plus BI form. So unfortunately, this one's going to have to be separated like this generally. But, we've had some practice. I'm hoping you're looking at this going, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, except when I don't put it on the screen. That makes it harder. That's why I'm a professional. So negative 1/2 plus radical 19 halves I. Negative 1/2 minus radical 19 halves I. Bam! You guys are brilliant. You guys are so smart. Go do your homework. Call your parents if it's reasonable to and say you love them. And, go out and get a walk and say hello to some nice birds and maybe lizards. Okay? Woohoo. Next up, really, really weird stuff. Math on.